Did you work this weekend, Warren?
What's that?
Did you guys work this weekend?
I gotta find out because, there's stuff done. The paper carrier is on a part of that slab that, I wonder if they did do it on Saturday.
There was somebody over there Saturday moving some material around, I don't know.
That was probably Adam Luster, because he does, he'll come up here for the boy on Saturday, maybe part around with a few things.
Yeah.
And put in some trash, but not that I'm aware of.
You want to do the prayer for me?
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come to you today just asking you to watch over this meeting of our commissioners. We ask you to be with our county employees as they go about their duties this week and help everyone to make the decisions that are according to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, good morning. I've reviewed last week's minutes and make a motion and we approve them. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? All right.
I've got 2 or 3 things for you to get started today. We had 2 sets of claims, and I don't think I actually explained that in the email I sent out. I just sent them both. This is the regular claims for the week. That one is $287,863.91.
That's my motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
And then the other set we had some of the people that went from non-exempt to exempt positions that we needed to pay out the vacation and a quarter of the sick leave. And we had to do those away from a regular payroll pay because of capers and whether or not to take capers out of it, depending on when they started. So we put them in, and then along with that, we had a couple of pretty big weeks on claims, so we needed to replenish our claims account that we pay for our health insurance claims out of. So the total on this pay was $100,817.89, and $69,000 of that was insurance claims, and the balance was paying out those leave balances to the people that went to exempt.
I reviewed that. That's my motion.
Been moved and seconded. We pay those bills in that amount. All in favor? Aye.
And then I have the sheriff's monthly fee report for July, its approval.
Monthly, it's income, $3,430.04. That's my motion to approve the sheriff's budget here, the sheriff's
Fee report.
report.
Second.
Moving to second, all in favor? Aye.
All right. I guess while we're on the topic of sheriff, we got email this morning with the prisoner count. Second. So I printed out copies of that. I don't know if you guys have seen the email yet today or not. There are copies, and where is it?
On.
He has 12 prisoners in-house and 3 farmed out at the moment, and then he lists all of his calls for service and everything on there.
Robert just read some of it. Sheriff's report, yeah. 15 prisoners, 12 in, 3 out. 152 911 calls, 1,457 jail contacts, 324 calls for service. Let's leave it at that. Warren, come on up.
Good morning. We're report. We had a very good, productive week last week. We should be wrapping up, with the exception of a wall here or there, all of our load-bearing CMU block this week. TPO roofing starts above the jail cell area. We call it the high roof area. That'll be starting this week. They should be mobilizing in today. Got all of our base rock for all the remaining 4-inch slab on grade spread last week is on Friday. So they're already prepping for our next slab on grade pours. That's primary. The 4-inch slab on grades are going to be our courtroom areas, the attorney offices, the sheriff's department, that portion of it. So work is progressing very well. And I guess why I'm here again, our superintendent, he has been, contracted COVID-19. He was supposed to be back today. I get a text from him Saturday morning. He had to admit himself into the ER, severely dehydrated. I believe he's back down in St. James, Missouri, where he's from. But he's 59, and this is kicking his butt pretty good right now. So I've had no contact with him other than on the phone. But he's going on 11 days right now, feeling pretty bad. So
Yeah, change order. I've seen.
We got a couple things. We've got a pay application. There's all the supporting documentation on that. This is pay application number 11, I believe. It's a little under $1 million. It's all the stuff's there if you want to look at it. And then we do also have a change order to approve. This is change order number 9. It involves two elements, some changes in the flooring. When they bid the project, it was bid at just a generic flooring, and when the departments began selecting the specific flooring they needed for specific areas, that involved some changes in the order. And then it also includes the skylight credit. They moved it, put a different type of skylight in. The total of this change order is to actually increase our contingency fund by about $5,700.
those are credit changes.
Right. And so
You can do those
so
often.
the sum of the change order is an increase to the fund, a decrease to our expense. So here are the details on that if you want to look at that. I do need both of those back before, when you're done with them. The pay application won't be approved till next week.
Right, it'll be in next week's pay.
So it's there to look at, but it won't be approved till next week. We can do probably need to do the change order today
Yeah.
at some point and sign it. I also have some aerial photos that Warren sent. I always find these interesting. If you want to take a look at those, I don't have a color printer, but
I can print them for you.
He's hinting. That's how he works this.
I can't
It
afford.
was sketches, but he did get a printer.
I can't afford a color printer. So.
They're expensive.
Oh, Lord. Wow. There you go.
The only other, forgot to mention this, we've been tracking, delivery of our jail cells. Our original baseline schedule had them set up for like August 25th. Based on logic and info we had from, Pauley Jail. Several months ago, he said, it's gonna be more about September 30th. So we've been tracking September 30th for a couple months now in our, overall schedule update. Found out last week, it's now being pushed a couple weeks back. He's saying more realistically, like the week of September 13th. We'll be doing our next schedule update this week, and basically the jail area and we'll call it the Justice Center area, there's separate critical paths, we'll call it, or several. They both go to the end of the project. The jail cell area, we had more, we'll call it flexibility, float. So I'm not suspecting or expecting a 2-week delay on the jail cells to affect anything, but I really don't know for sure until I run the schedule update. It's things you hear about on the news all the time. Bottlenecks in supply, and it's a lot of steel is involved with those jail cells, and they're starting to feel some of the impact on that. So.
I don't have any questions. You got any?
Should we do you guys want to do a walkthrough of the jail here next week?
Let's do it like on the 1st of September. That's only 2 weeks.
Whatever you want.
Huh?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, the first Monday of September.
Well, the first Monday, September, we actually meet on Tuesday.
First Tuesday of September.
Okay, I'll make a note.
There you go.
Because that's Labor Day.
Okay.
That would be September 7th.
Any questions? I make a motion, we approve change order number 9, crediting is $5,763.83. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
We need to sign that. I did fill in the, make sure you sign the right place.
Yep, please do.
Let's see, right there, what's his bio?
I'm signing Danny's name.
Fine, one more credit.
The credit, that's right. Take the credit. There you go. Anything for us else? Anybody got anything for us? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tell Bill we said get well.
You want this? Let me, I'm almost done with it here.
AMR, come on up.
Good morning, Louis Savoy, Operations Supervisor, AMRC shift. Volume for this week was up, obviously, as you guys probably could tell of us running around. We went out on 27 calls this week, transported 17. Other than that, some interesting stuff. You guys all heard Derek is leaving, so now we're searching for another operations supervisor, which is even harder to find than a paramedic. Some of our guys are kind of young and not quite ready to move into that spot. We might have one or two we're going to look at, but we're doing an outside search for our next supervisor. The SUV is actually in Vegas, so they got the chip that was missing from Ford, and it made it there. So it's becoming an emergency vehicle right now. Per Galen, we might see that up in Johnson County, where it'll get its radios in September, hopefully October.
Okay.
Other than that, my mask is because I got spit on last week by a COVID-19 patient, and then somehow my daughter got it, which she could have got it from somewhere else, but you know how this goes. So I've got a double whammy. I'm asymptomatic, but better safe than sorry for you guys, and I'm vaccinated. But it's still out there. Any questions?
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You want to go?
Morning.
Hello.
The Comprehensive Plan Committee, we decided we wanted to meet in person to go through the 2006 Comprehensive Plan. So based on responses I've got so far, we think Tuesday nights are going to work. We'll probably not meet this week, but the next week. So that's what's going on there. We did have an airport meeting on Thursday. I was not able to be there. We moved my mother-in-law to hospice care on Thursday. So Sean covered for me. He's great. So that happened on Thursday night, and I need 15 minutes of trade secrets with Sean.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? I don't have any. Did you have anything?
I have one other thing. I just got in an email. Robin sent the COVID numbers for the week up to 1,013 cases, which said is up 20 since last Wednesday. approximately 75 active, and we're still at 14 deaths.
Okay. Sean, you want to go ahead and go?
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. So I'll start out with the Lacing Senior Center. We've got the bids in for those. I was only able to get one complete bid on that project, and the outside remodel, along with the
Hey,
construct.
don't announce anything. Just bring, you got the bids?
Yes.
Reason you're reviewing it in case you want to rebid it.
Yeah.
Don't want the number.
Oh, we're just doing it in Barb's here.
You didn't total all together on this one, or did you?
It is,
Or he didn't total, I mean? Where's his total? Okay. That's the garage. That's the total. Yep,
That's for the addition and the
no,
revamping inside.
no, this is the revamping on the inside.
Oh, okay.
The other should be the garage and the breezeway
And then you work with he was the only one, right?
on that project. Yes.
You advertised it in the paper,
Yes.
and when you went inside, you told him your thoughts of bedroom. You think you're changing something in the shower or something?
We'll convert one bathroom to a shower, leave the other as a bathroom, saving the cost of converting both, and then doing the flooring. And there'll also be a wall for just a laundry area in the main room.
So Gary, the thought is the library is now handling up to 70 people a day for the elderly. We're still doing our Meals on Wheels. We're still doing our congregate meals through Eastern Area on Aging. And we quit our congregate meals almost 2 years ago at that site because there was nobody available. But they have 70 people attending. It's privately funded through the library. I don't know if the library's the title, but that's where they're all meeting at for lunch every day and exercises and all that. I hooked them together with Eastern Area on Aging to see if they could get funding, and they could, but they didn't because then it restricted what they served for food. So they refused it, and they're just taking their own money. The reason I bring that up is because there was a group of people years ago that helped build that, Gene Allen and Bernita Ayla and all them. They funded that project and they built that house there, and then they couldn't afford it, from my understanding, the old senior center. They gave it to the commissioners with the condition that they could meet there once a week or twice a week or whatever they wanted for games and all that stuff. There's none left. There's one person that may be able to go there, and everybody else is pretty much elderly. They haven't used it in 2 years. So my thought is, if this is approved or something similar to that, is to use that as the ambulance barn, because the ambulance barn we have now is they shouldn't be there. So I didn't know what, is there any,
well, we probably need to take a look at that agreement with the original group and
Right.
just see what we need to do to officially wrap that up.
yeah.
I don't know if
So
I
if we
have,
approve this, we may wait or we may not. Need to wait on this pending, we can approve it.
you can approve it pending, a determination that, you can approve the bid, but not give a go.
Right.
A start date yet,
Yeah.
start date in, did he say when he would be able to do it? I mean, he's probably a few weeks out anyway, isn't he?
I believe so.
So, we'll give an authorization to begin in a couple weeks or something.
Yeah. Did you have any questions about anything? You want to try anything different? We're required, or that's part of our contract, to provide them adequate housing And that's the only thing I can think of that would, besides go out and build a whole new living facility and garage, because they have to have a garage area.
Does he have the, automatic roll-up door and, like climate control and everything figured into it?
The gas will run into the garage system for climate control, and the door was I believe, as I recall, a 12 by 12 automatic.
So it's a turnkey. When he's done, we're ready to move in.
The only thing I would question on the bid is whether we supply the heating element. I know he's running the gas in, but I'll have to clarify on the element itself, and you're talking probably $300 to $400 difference on that possibility. But that's the only thing that by looking at it, that he and I didn't specifically discuss as to who would pay for that cost.
You talked about 2 doors where you're going to.
And you got one or two?
We've got one, the rear part, we looked at that, and the rear part abuts a house right behind it. Although we have the drive, they have a handicap accessible ramp.
It's not their property.
Correct, that comes out on that side, but it's not their property. And the turn radius, we just did not believe where we were going to set it.
I just wanted to know if it was a.
We looked at it for a possibility, but I don't believe the turn radius is going to be adequate for it.
And if we do this, we need to notify Mark's the guy that's got the handicapped accessible and rents the house there. Let him know that's, we're putting the building there,
Correct.
so he can adjust. He can use the backside. I've already seen where.
How many contractors did we have look at it? Just the one?
We had, I showed 2 contractors, and I believe Rick showed 1. But we were only able to receive 1 bid on it.
Is there anything else you can think we can do on it?
I just, for those parts, I'd like to see turnkey where we don't have to mess with it. We literally, he says done, AMR moves in.
If it's $300 or $400, you should suck that up. But I don't see where. Yeah, you need to find out that, but he should eat that. If that's part of the bid at that cost. That's.
It could be part of the bid, but we discussed the piping for the unit, but not the unit itself. And as I reviewed it, that's the only question I had.
Don't you think you want to have that clarified before you act to approve it or not?
Yeah, just make sure it is, and then let's get it approved. And
Don't just get the
can you? Yeah,
turnkey price.
yeah. Asking for the turnkey price for everything, and then you'll check on the.
Yeah, I'll have to find a copy. David, do you think you have a copy of that agreement?
Probably, I'll just have to look and see if you know about when.
Oh, it would have been in the 70s, 80s, I don't know.
I was thinking maybe we had updated or renewed that.
Well, we might have.
It was probably in the 80s.
There has been some discussion of it since I have been here, which is 25 years. So, but
We
I,
had a meeting here about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Remember? Asking
Yeah.
for it all over.
and so we may have found it all at that time. I don't recall. And I'll check my files too, David, but,
I'm pretty sure I have seen it at some point.
yeah, I think I,
We even updated their, if you remember, we even updated their roster, who was part of that group of people.
okay, I can't,
We had told them that they needed a president and a vice president
okay.
and
Well, we'll get our files together and we'll have something for you next time.
Where we're at right now, did we figure in on that or what? We own the other
Yeah.
building.
Just be like with.
oh, on the other building? Well, the other building belongs to the township.
So we just
What?
used it.
Is that like the
We
over
rent it.
50 club?
Yeah,
I think I've got something here scanned in.
Just terminate,
okay.
just terminate the contract. Yeah, it's just an empty old.
Yeah,
Actually, it's been 5 years even at that point, so it would be up at this point, but I'll send you that.
Okay. Well, we're fine then.
Yeah, just on both those, I'd like to see turnkey, and literally, we don't have to mess with it. Maybe, at the end of the project, if Rick's kind of had another, maybe Rick walks through and gives the final okay, and then he gets like a retainer or whatever. That's it.
I think it listed the payouts on there at at different times during the project as well.
I'd like to see the turnkey approach for sure.
Yeah, just make sure everything's good. That all we have to, once it's built, we just put our stuff in and start going. Now, before we take anything out of there, I want to talk to those, what's left of the group. There's only one person I know that probably even gets around now. So, and see if there's something valuable that somebody wants. Because Bernita Ayla's over 100, and I know she's not in any condition health-wise.
I know when we did this, same basic thing at Parker in terms of the stuff,
Right.
it was amazing how much of it they wanted.
Yeah, I know. And then there's stuff there's a lot of stuff in there.
Correct.
Yeah, so we'll offer that to them. So it may take a week or two.
I just emailed that one to you, Gary. I think
Okay.
that's
Okay.
what we have.
So let's wait a week. You find out about everything. Make sure it's like this is it.
Now, what will the garage just be heated? It's not air conditioned, right? Is that what we?
Yeah.
That's correct. Along that lines, the other item I had was the siding at the Blue Mound site, but I think we should consider them both at the same time because I only have two bidders and one of them is this bidder and I'll make a recommendation on it next week as well.
That's good.
Rail car at the north shop was tested. Everything's fine as far as the removal and disposal. I'm going to continue on with that process, but we did alleviate any concerns that the disposal of that would cause us any hazardous problems.
Once you get it cleaned out, you still clean. That's what you're talking about, right? Cleaning it.
Correct. I'll
What are you going to do with the tank? You're going to dispose of it?
dispose, yes, it'll be,
Military.
it will be recycled or scrapped.
Sean knew what I was talking about.
Road and Bridge, I'm working on some projects, two of them actually with the engineers in the floodplain. One's a roadway issue that we'll bring to you later on, as far as moving a roadway in the future to get it away from a floodplain area that a levee's being reconstructed and the roadway goes within just a few feet of that levee. The other is a project just southeast of there where the roadway near Area 5, the river's starting to take our roadway, and we're going to have to get some engineering issues resolved and floodplain permits. And again, that was just something that I worked with because I met the engineers this past week and had a good conversation with them about getting the road and bridge projects back on track and caught up. So transfer landfill also started the project when I met with the engineers on the drainage issue and transferred some paperwork to them. And I'm going to be continuing to hand over plans and paperwork so they can go over the drainage issue there inside the building and the lagoon process to try to find out what it would take to get away from pumping tanks and going over to a lagoon and adequately draining that shop or floor area. Pleasanton will be in Parker Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and they'll be starting that process, and they'll continue that until that chip and seal's done through the city of Parker. Tammy was unable last week to do the training on noxious weed cost shares, but she's going to have that done this week so we can continue those cost share programs. Pleasanton Senior Center. We lost the last of the remaining outside units last week. We had two different people looking at the units. There's 4 units total on the building. All 4 units were unrepairable, even with the spare parts we had lying around. The units are shot. So at that point, the decision was made to move that program until I could get into here with the help of Pleasanton over to the community center. They're taking up the front area of that and using the kitchen services, but we do need to come up with a plan. I was able to receive one bid. I haven't put it out for bid, but because the project and the speed of the project's vital to getting them back in their own building, I do have a bid on what it will take to replace that unit from a single vendor, if that's something we're interested in. But I understand the building itself is not something we're interested in putting a lot of money into.
Whatever they had going on over there, then Sean and I went with Sean out there, and it took an hour to figure out what was running what and where and how, and it was a disaster. So.
You got any idea about wheel site or?
I mean, I went in there. That was on a Sunday night, right? Or no, Tuesday night, Monday night, something. Anyway, so
Monday, Tuesday.
There was a Chamber of Commerce meeting in Pleasant, and I was actually in there with them, and I mean, I'm just saying it because I went. They loved the community center in Pleasant, and I actually got to talk to Teresa a little bit about it, and Pleasant's in favor of doing whatever they can to help us. So.
Have we ever made them a specific number offer?
They never really told us a specific number either.
I think we just need to say, here's what we'll give and see what they say, don't you? To get it off dead center.
I was given a price as to what, during the process of getting ready for the bike show or the rally, they had a group in there for a month. And based off of that usage, they did give me a price of what they thought the utility bills would go up over the course of the month.
What was that?
$500.
That's all day, everyday usage?
That's all the everyday usage for a month, and they also factored in any cost, cleaning toiletries, those things. But they were saying that was the most accurate estimate that they had at the time.
And I don't know if do they have a meeting tonight?
I do not know.
Oh, so. Did you ever get anything to Jim on the health clinic about building that EOC / senior center meal eating site there?
As far as bids or cost or,
Yeah, get possibility of it. Who had some drawings? Did you have the drawing?
Doug brought in some
I've got
drawings.
those drawings in the version.
Yeah.
yes, I was uninvolved with that process.
So we're like it seems like we're at the same place, not you. You have nothing to do with this, us three. We're at the same road every time something happens to that side over there. We're not happy that Pleasanton wants to charge us for that senior center. We don't want the old one, but we haven't gotten anything, I guess, money wise, dollar figured on the health clinic over there. If we added, that was an actual add-on too, wasn't it?
Well, it just depended. He was adding on if he put himself in there.
He had 3 different plans. One of them involved adding on a few feet. The other 2 did not, as I recall. Wasn't that what it was, Jim?
I think so.
Yeah, he had like 2 or 3 different ideas of layout. I mean, that's all he had, no numbers or anything like that.
I can say though, if we were to go into a contract with Pleasanton over $500 a month, say they wanted that and we gave that to them, that it will eventually go up and we won't get all the stuff that we have now over there because they just want it as a eating quarters, right?
No, they have it laid out in that back room. I went over there and kind of laid everything out, and there's plenty of room for everything that they want over there to use. Like there's a dishwasher sink. There's already plumbing line ran in the floor ready. Everything's ready to be hooked up. All that stuff would fit in there, and then there would be room for them to have their own room and then be able to lock the door and walk out. I mean, and I did some numbers that I can't remember the numbers exactly, but right now, I think we're paying average of like $700 or $800 a month for that building there in Pleasanton for upkeep and bills and stuff like that. And
I think that's pretty cheap. If that was the case, I mean, I would have
right,
thought
but I mean,
everything broken down costs a lot more than
but that's in Pleasanton. They kind of threw out the $300 or $400 number to me, but no one's really, if we go to, I mean, we're gonna start the negotiation, let's start it, or,
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of, if we're gonna do an EOC, because originally, we had dug in here in the basement, and there was a basement for a few months. Now he has, leave back where he's at. If we're gonna do that and put it's all ours forever is what I'm saying. We don't have to pay anybody anything for any reason. And
Right.
we don't know that, Lacing and Pleasant in size is about the same. And, Lacing's, we just went to nothing, to 0 congregate meals. And now it's up to 70, but I can guarantee you it'd still be at 0 if it was us running the program. Because the way they run it over there is a lot different.
so you think it'd be beneficial to move out to the health department and run all these?
I think
running lines?
it would be beneficial to find out the actual, what we want over there and the actual cost of it. And then make a decision and say, oh, that's too much or that's good. And if it's too much, then talk to Pleasanton then, but that's just kind of my thoughts.
I'd like to see what it'd take to move them to there, but
So maybe we could, is that all right with you, just to find out?
Yeah, I'm good, but I mean, in the meantime, we gotta find out what we're gonna do with them, because they're sitting in the front of the Pleasanton Community Center,
What did they say about that?
That was just a temporary issue that I was made standing in the roadway on the phone to accommodate it. Yeah, to accommodate us, to get us to this meeting. If we were to,
Can we do like the renters? We just don't want to move out?
Yeah, they can evict us now.
well, if we were looking at the cost and getting an estimate for both of these sites, what the remodels are going to cost and what the rent,
It's going to take a month.
it's going to take a little bit. And the cost, from what I'm seeing of the bid to get them back in their building, is going to be about, if we were talking about Pleasanton, just over 4 months of rent there. So, do we want to put the money back into that building and give us time to get those costs and things
You're
going?
talking about the outside,
The outside unit.
Is that
Yes.
what it is?
Yes.
Will a window unit work?
They have one in there in the kitchen.
Another window? For $200 or $300 is all they are.
no, we have them kind of right in the middle of the building, that's what.
Yeah, I don't know that there'd be access to put a unit in the center of that building, the way it's designed. I mean, it's been piecemealed together quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's been passed and everything in there. Scary.
Mm-hmm.
Wondering how it gone up.
So you're talking a couple $1,000 range to fix it.
Just over that, yes.
How long to get the material or the unit?
This afternoon.
How to get that quick?
Well, listen, if we were to fix it, it's going to take several months to plant to get this. If we decide to do that anyway.
Yeah, between the time that we would take to gain diagrams, bid, price list and everything, plus the putting it out to bid and the construction of it, you're going to be in that time frame anyway. So
Right.
at this point, it makes good sense to go ahead with the project and get them back in their building until we can come up with a long-term resolution. But I would encourage
I would encourage it.
highly looking into that long-term solution, because the building over there is not it.
Wasn't there a city council meeting tonight, Barb, do you know? Barb,
She can't hear.
does Pleasant have a city council meeting tonight?
No, next. First.
Yeah, I mean, so really all we need on that is to get a for sure answer on what they want for rent.
what, then we go in and fix it up? Is that what the deal is in the community center, the way we
Well,
want
there's
it?
not really nothing to fix up, it's just taking a sink over there, hooking the plumbing up and moving over a few tables.
Wiring and everything's good in the back room.
Yeah, that's all, it's all ready to go, and there's plumbing sticking up out of the floor. It's ready to be hooked into.
So the question is, are you gonna spend $500 a month for the next few months there? Or are you gonna spend $2,000 and stay at the other place until you figure out
And I
what the
think if we
purpose.
would, to move into Pleasant for a few months, we'd still have to move all their stuff. Well, they could still utilize their kitchen over there at that building. If they walled off that door over there, they could use the window unit to make that kitchen work. Because Pleasant might have something with somebody renting the kitchen area or something. Because right now they're using the kitchen in the community center, which is just,
They had a wedding over the weekend and things. It was manageable, but it's not something that I think we should do for months at a time until
It's just more of
we-
a kitchenette, isn't it? Just kind of
yeah,
like,
it's just it's pretty small. But they could, and at the end of the day, they could still go over and utilize. It'd be a lot more work. I mean, obviously they'd take their dish and they go back to the mill site right now and use it off the window unit. But
Or what's the price of the repair? Nobody else bid, emergency fix, cost.
would that unit over there on the old attorney's office not fit?
no, it wasn't adequate. It was 5 ton. It'd have to go on that east unit. You would have to tell me the difference. One's 14, one's 16, but those are the prices.
Because once we start making the move stuff all the way over there and back and
That's
forth,
not bad. That's less than I thought it was gonna be.
I was told either of those units could be picked up today.
What's currently in main votes for?
another old building,
CD,
we'd have to work on.
CBDG or CBDG, the hemp stuff. They're getting ready to do that there.
What?
Hemp, some kind of hemp store. He's from Kansas City. I actually called him the other day.
That would've been good.
So you can go there now, pretty soon.
we got handicap access problems there and all kinds of problems.
Hey, so my thought is let's just get this fixed and then
That would give us a little time. Yeah, I agree.
and then let's determine if we really want that over there and the cost of it. Over there at the health department, if it's not practical or.
So there's a design that I can use to get
Oh,
bids.
yeah, we probably need Doug, and I don't know if Doug's available today, but he's got the 3 plans, and he did give us, and he'll let me know that. I guarantee.
Yeah.
Well,
But there's a design over there that I can get bids on and
yeah, there's 3 different options. I don't know which option we consider. That's the problem on that one. We don't know which one we would probably want, because I don't even remember. I just remember,
They had one like adding on to it and one not adding on.
yeah,
You had two that didn't involve an addition, but had different interior configurations.
Right.
And then a third one had like a 15-foot addition, I think, or something like that.
and the reason I like it there is because it'll be ours, and it'll be, an EOC will go there as well. And that's probably something we need to consider. We haven't, just threw it out because of the jail cost. And then if it's not practical, then that's when we go full force on Pleasanton, twisting arms and seeing what the price will actually be. So I'll make,
We could even move this over there and not the EOC right now.
yeah, we could, yeah, we could just do that. Just move no EOC, just move the meals program over there.
okay.
Because what's going to happen in 6 or 8, a year or 2 years down the road, there may not be a need for it. And maybe, so we just need to look at all that. So I'll make a motion that we go ahead and do the repairs necessary. And the contractor is Weber Heating and Cooling, and up to $2,400. I'll make a motion that we do repair the air conditioning unit. It's just one unit that we're repairing
Correct.
for that price, up to $2,400.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So in case there's a little extra there, you don't need. You got anything else?
Looks like signs, we were doing boom mowing. We got the gates in at the airport on the south end. As far as the airport meeting, very productive meeting. last week with them. They actually want to move our discussion to coming up with a plan to encourage development at the airport now that the roadways are going in. So they're wanting to talk to people and look at plans that they would recommend that we use for development. We'll further that discussion, and the only other was the executive session.
Yeah, I turned a list of roads that need to be worked on into Joyce last Friday.
Okay.
So just make sure that, they get followed up on. She's really good about it, but I don't know if you had any complaints about roads lately?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean, just normal complaints, but I was wondering about, we've been asked for a while, do we have any plans on the ditch cleanouts? Are we continuing to do that? I mean, are we still using graders to clean ditches, or is that all stopped, or?
What I know about that is there are at least two projects that come to mind that we were waiting for things to dry up before we started because of the pumping issue. And as far as the rest of the ditch projects, if they were needed, I'm unaware of them other than those two projects. Any others, I would assume we were either waiting on manpower, equipment, or things to dry out a little bit to get to them. But I'd have to confirm all that with them. But every time I've talked to them about the ditch projects that have been brought to my attention, we were putting them out closer to closer to the end of the month for manpower. And
I hate putting all this money and effort and gravel into putting gravel on the roads and our ditches aren't. I mean, that's just, we're not taking care of the issue. I mean, the issue is we have no ditches and the water's going down the road carrying the gravel with it. That's why we don't have any gravel.
I know the two projects I talked about are in the Boyport area, the floodplain projects. That also is close to what you're talking about. It's taking away from water issues and trying to redesign roadways and water removal so that we can get those roadways maintained easier and keep them maintained. But as far as if you have specific ditch projects that I'm unaware of, I can't answer to that today. So
So is asphalt still going on?
we have stopped the chip and seal. Bettis, again, we talked last week, they're a few weeks behind on the contracted project they're doing. The chip and seal, other than Parker, is done, and then the remainder of that money in the asphalt or all district, I'm looking at striping projects for it, and they'll go back to crack seal and smaller projects.
So so all the road crews are back to their people, Harry and Mike,
After Parker,
after Parker.
yes, and until that point, we still got them assigned out.
So we're focusing on, we don't need to worry about spraying since we don't have nobody to spray.
Have we got the mowers all going or?
I did not hear whether we had people out this weekend or not. I haven't got to talk to them because
We're out during the week.
I talked to Harry last week and there was one tractor down. Is that true?
I believe the last one that we brought up was from New Holland and it was back and running. But if one went, but if one went down this week, he and I didn't discuss it, but I know we picked the New Holland up from R&R.
Mowing, and I seen one of the New Hollands mowing this week, or last week, I'm sorry. So, what about the, brush along the roads?
Both mowing and boom mowing on the brush on the side of the roads were going on because I went down 1095 in that area and they've done quite a bit of work in that area on both.
Was our sign guy, I know we had talked about it once, of putting a chainsaw and weed eater and whacker in his truck and having him do a little bit of that. Is
He was doing boom mowing last week.
So one of the complaints I got, I think everybody got it. Nobody wants to probably admit it because it was a hateful email, but anyway, it was, well, some of the stop signs in a couple of areas and she's got it in there, Joyce's. The weeds have grown up so high that you can't hardly see the stop sign. So my thought is that Kevin, since we don't have anybody else, we don't have anybody go out there and spray it and kill it, knock it before it got so high, is him to mow around it with a weed eater or choppers or whatever it takes to get that stupid stuff out of the way. And the same thing over bridges. Some of these little bridges, you can't even tell that there's a bridge there. So you know that it's a road. Anybody can say that, but if a farmer's coming down through there with a big piece of equipment and is not maybe paying exact attention that he should and hits that, it messes our bridge up and messes his equipment up. So I would ask that we have Kevin work on some of that stuff around his areas.
I know he went out boom mowing last week. I'll talk to him about the others, but I also have been using him for like the gates to the airport, and we are looking at redoing the parking lot at the health center to get them more parking, our health department. There was center parking when it had a drive-through. We're looking at pulling that apart and putting parking on both sides to get them more space available as well. So some of those projects along with the boom mowing stuff is what we've been doing with Kevin, but I'll look at the signage and see what we can get done.
Maybe we need to come up with something about the ditches. We talked about it. I don't know how many hundreds of times it seems like. And one of the complaints is when we would throw the dirt off to the side all the way and not pick it up. And not, you don't want to move it out towards the road. You know, once you start digging your ditch, they would throw it up on the bank. And some people keep that path, they keep that area clean. You know, they come along there and they
It
mow.
just makes a mess for people that mow
So-
it anyway.
We need to come up with a county policy for what are they going to do with that? Not just leave it. It's kind of like when you come along and you knock all the limbs down and you leave big piles of limbs along you're mowing the fence lines, knocking them down, and just leaving them. Well, if you own the property and it's on county property anyway, but you want to keep it clean, it's not very good to the person that wants to keep it clean, or maybe he would if it was mowed once or the limbs were knocked off. So what's the removal process? I think we should come up with a
Do
policy.
we have any old small dump trucks that we don't use every day hauling gravel?
We have an older truck in the north shop. We use it for training people.
And I know it takes another skid loader. It takes people to do that. But if we're going to do the ditches, let's do them right.
Well, and that's one thing that we're looking at as far as the equipment you talked to the road foremans about is looking at skid steers and replacing a few of those. So we can look at our policies as far as the
We don't have
cleanup.
policies on it.
And what that,
What we need is
well, and
everybody understands.
And that's the issue. We bladed an area near Pleasanton the other day, and the first issue was we hadn't been there in months, and the second issue was we put dirt clumps out in the areas that people had to mow and things. But on the county roads, you can go 5 miles and nobody cares, and then you pass in front of a property and you cut the same ditch, and you're going to get complaints because they mow that area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
if we can clean it up though, at least, if you go by somebody who's manicured property and if it's drained and it looks like it's draining, but the guy's going through there and he wants to keep going, and he digs a huge ditch, wouldn't you be pissed too? I would. I mean, so common sense has to come into it too.
Well, I just think an older dump truck with a trailer and a skid steer and one guy in it just full time, and that's literally all he does. Call and locates with a hard telling what's going on.
What do we do with the dirt though? That's another issue. I mean, if we start taking it, where do we dump?
Fill it up and take it to. Didn't you say something about there was an issue one time and put it on people's property that wanted it?
We can sign, can we come up with something that we can give permission?
If it's for a public purpose, and the public purpose is cleaning out our ditch, then there's nothing wrong with dumping it on private property if they agree to that. I mean, now, if we go out and do something to get somebody some dirt,
Right.
that's not a public purpose. But if we're doing it to clean our ditch, and somebody, the neighbor says, hey, you can put it right there if you want to,
And
they'd have to sign an agreement, a waiver.
What would be wrong with like the ditches of just kept coming into the roads to go back and put the ditch where it should be, and then put the dirt in the road, and build it up on the sides. Cause I mean, I can show you roads that's 4 foot in there or 5, because we just kept letting it come out into the road. If we went back and dug the ditch where it should be and laid the dirt back into the road, I would realize you're putting dirt on the road, but we could eventually, if we keep the water off of it.
I think if we keep going the way we are, we're just gonna, our gravel budget's gonna be 1.5 million next year.
Oh, we got 40-foot roads now. This is flat, they just keep going.
Or the ditch has just come up out in the road and we made 1-lane roads where you can't even meet anybody.
I think we have to tackle the or start something, do something. I mean, I know that last year we were, the grader, it takes him a long time, is what I hear, to do, half a mile of a gravel road or a ditch. I just think it'd be beneficial to have it pretty much done by the time he gets there, and then he can throw his, his precision measurement, grading, whatever he has to do to get the right slope, but everything else is already pretty much done for him. Because what I see is you have your road, and then we have grass pad this high over on the side of the road, and all the water is just hitting that and then carrying all the gravel away with it.
There are areas that I've seen, like what you're talking about, where the water drainage follows the roadway because the side walls are up too high on it.
I know that we were kind of just where graders would, just to help us out and get by, they would come through and they would kind of cut it. So we'd utilize the side of the ditch in the road, or the side of the road, or the ditch that's higher than the road is like a bank, and all the water would travel right down it and then hit where they kind of cut it off and drain into the ditch and keep it going. But I just feel like we've got to take care of the issue.
I'll get with the shop foremans and find out in their areas. They're going to know better than I where those areas are at, and see if we can develop a plan to get somebody working on
What
it.
he's talking about is we're not utilizing the ditches. A lot of places, the ditch is still there, but the water's going down alongside the road because the lip's that high. And it
Correct.
If it comes out into the road, it's just washing the road away.
Okay. We beat that.
I will work on some type of resolution and see what I can do with the shop foreman.
Floodplain maps have supposedly changed, and I don't know if they've actually gone to effect or not. And maybe that's a question for Andy. Andy showed me about a year ago that they approved or about to approve a new floodplain map.
Correct.
Take people out of it, maybe add some people into it or whatever. That needs to be made public so that the public will know, because it's insurance issues. And so
I don't believe it's finalized yet, but I can check on the progress of it and see where it's at.
they've actually did quite a bit of work to it, from what I understand, and it will be beneficial to a lot of residents out there, I think. So they've taken a lot of stuff out of the floodplain. Anybody got any? Yeah.
Different department if you're ready to move on to something else.
Yep.
I got email from Doug on fire calls. Apparently he wasn't going to make it over, but there were 12 calls for service past week. 3 motor vehicle accidents, 1 fire, 4 medical assists, 1 landing zone, 1 false alarm, and 2 other calls.
Okay. Has anybody got anything for Sean? And then you're going to be in the trade secrets executive session.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Lois Wright. Lois, are you going to tell us something good news? Are you complaining about roads?
Well, I was just thinking that if you did need to go look at a road over by where we live,
There you go.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I appreciate you discussing that, because it is a problem. 3 miles north and 2 west of Blue Mound.
Is that that's your area?
What is it?
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, well, Rich, do you want to come up here too, Rich? Yeah, he's my friend here, Rich Morrell, and
Sorry.
so don't hold that against me. So anyway, today we're here because the mayor's Christmas tree lighting is going to be December the 4th. from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And we have something called the John and Helen Barnes Community Fund. And with this, we would like to have a live nativity. And we would like to have it, if possible, over on the courthouse lawn. We have a girl from down by Fulton, Kansas, and her name is Amy Gorman. You may know her. But anyway, she has animals. She has a camel and a donkey, and she has some sheep and some different things. And so she has agreed to come up December the 4th, if it is okay with the county, to have the animals over here, possibly by the gazebo. That's what we were thinking.
For 2 hours.
I think
2 hours.
we weren't able to do anything, but the year before, didn't we have a big lighting and
Yeah.
that
This is the first time we've had, I think, the live nativity, as far as I know, for a long time. And Carrie and I, we grew up about the same time, and we just would like to kind of recreate a little bit of things that happened when we were kids. And part of it has to do with the drawing. Some of you probably remember maybe the drawing that they had uptown, and it's kind of, yeah, and David remembers. And so we'd kind of like to add a few things, and Desiree's helping with this, and her daughter, I think they've been a big part of that for a long time. But we just kind of wanted to come in on that, and we think that the Barnes legacy would be, well attended from doing that.
So the bottom line would be December 4th for 2 hours, not a long time, 4 animals, nativity scene. That's it.
Do we have our tree lighting thing coming up? No, who does that?
Well, we haven't necessarily planned anything yet this
Okay.
year, but I know.
Could that be on the same day in the evening after their event's completely
That'd be
over?
good.
Combined it that year with the mayor's stuff too, and did it the same evening.
we let our stuff an hour before the city let their stuff, so we could just get it here and then you could walk out and watch it.
Okay. You see any reason why legal stance?
You know, the camels are awful hard to clean up after.
Yeah.
I just can't.
They good?
You know, I don't see a problem.
I personally don't like camels. I spend a lot of time with camels. I don't have any problems at all.
I don't have
think it's
any
good.
problem with it.
Do we need to do something?
Oh, it'd probably be good to have a motion on the record so you can get blamed for it.
Danny, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we allow what are you guys calling it? The
Nativity.
Nativity scene.
A live,
4 animal nativity scene.
And then I'll give you
a second.
in the Bible where that's all at. There you go. I'll second that motion. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. So thank you very much.
thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Appreciate
Thank you for all you do, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dave, what do you got going on
Yeah.
for executive session?
I want to give you when we come back out.
Okay. Do you have anything?
No, sir.
So 15 minutes for trade secrets. Is that going to work or you need more? 15 minutes. So that's my motion to go into trade secrets with Jessica Hightower and Sean West.
Second it.
Moved and second. All in favor? Aye. Get your donuts. Come on.
That option it keeps getting littler over there. When I first came here, it was amazing. Then I started eating and they stopped doing it. Was my hip sore? What?
What did you say was going on, Mango?
I think it's really set up.
What did you say was going on, Mango?
Oh, it's like a marijuana place.
logistically speaking,
Uh,
if you build a run on a health department for the senior citizens meals, how do you get them?
It's congregate meal.
But a lot of people that go to the current site walk.
Well, then they can go on Meals on Wheels. I mean, there's gotta be, some give and take. That could happen in every single bar, that could happen in every single city, and I know that it's been beneficial to them now, but we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right now, it's located about a block and a half away from the senior house. And I would be all the way across town. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Are you ready for my last topic of the day?
Tell them what's gonna happen. Hey, we had an executive session, there's no action. Got y'all. I told her we had all this stuff to talk about.
Just quite a bit of financial information on one page there. I went through late last week, looked at what we have spent on the Justice Center project, also looked at our sales tax income and bond payments. So I just kind of did a summary of all that. Now this would not include the payment we talked about today that just came in, their number 11 pay request, because we haven't paid that yet. But looking back through since 2019, the top part is the bond proceeds. There is what we got in when we sold the bonds. The income on that has been interest each year that we've accrued on that money that we collected. And then the expenses we've taken out of those funds so far come out to 4.9 million, which still leaves 13.3, almost 0.4 million in that construction account right now in that fund. In addition to that, we've spent, the middle section there is money we've spent out of county funds that we had on hand for this project. We've spent right at 1.3 million, and it was our original plan. I went back and looked when we did the bonds that we would have 3.1 million in county funds. So we're still well within that. So those things together, we've spent 6.2 million on the project so far. And that leaves, the funds available that we have out of the bond and what we had in the county. We had 13.3 left of the bond. We've still got 1.8 million left of county funds. So we have another 15.1 million in funds available. So we are really setting just fine overall on cost on the project. It should cover, well, it's enough to cover everything as the project sets right now, and would actually have a little bit left over at the end. So there's no issue there with having the funds to complete this project with the current estimate of the cost. And then the bottom part of the page, I also went through and I recorded what we've collected in sales tax income each year and what we've paid out on the bonds. Current time, we have a balance of 674,000 in the bond fund, the sales tax fund. I estimated the rest of this year's sales tax income just based on what we did for the first 7 months of the year and used that average for the remaining 5, which shows we should bring in another 484,000 this year. That would bring us to a total of 1.16 million this year in sales tax income. We have another interest payment at the end of the year, so our total payments for the year will be 913,000. So that will actually increase our balance in that fund by 250,000 this year and would give us 924,000 setting in the debt service fund at the end of the year. So nothing that required any action on any of this. I just wanted you guys to be able to see where we're at on all that funding right now. So I don't know if there are any questions or comments. I'd be glad to try to answer them.
You got any questions?
I don't know.
Jim? Okay. So now we got the CDBG closeout hearing. Is that what we're gonna do?
That's next week. That's down in the upcoming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have that next week, and then we have the budget hearing also next week. Neither one of which I think would take very long.
Okay.
Just comments that come up that we need to deal with.
Gary, do you have anything coming up that you can think of?
I'll be reaching out to you sometime this week when they send me some, when Kevin Case sends me some things that need to be filed to get your signature.
Okay.
But that's already been authorized by the commission, so I'll just reach out to you, tell you when it's ready, and then let them figure out.
Combine, so, okay. Anything else?
Jesse's called me a few times about wanting to know what direction to go in on as far as the hospital district about preparing the petition or whatever. He's wanting to know if we're wanting to do one in one district, both districts, or what our direction is.
He said you gave him some direction when he called me.
My direction with him is to carry the petition to get signatures. I mean, that's
That's not the
what we
direction
told
he,
him to
he
do,
understood.
right?
I thought it was countywide.
That's what
I made it pretty clear to him that I thought the first thing he needed to do was to talk to the leaders of the Lincoln Scott district and see if they had any interest in abandoning that district and joining countywide.
he got COVID or something, and then
He got COVID and couldn't attend the meeting and he sent, somebody else up there.
but I don't know how that went.
And
And
it didn't sound like it was, at least they listened, but they didn't give an answer to it.
so I mean,
So you pretty much know the answer to it.
I kept telling him, like, just take the petition. So is that what he needs to do, or what's he, take the petition, get a petition, make it?
He's
do
got to
that?
decide what the boundaries of the district is that he's proposing. Decide that first. You know, is it gonna be the entire county except for Lincoln Scott?
I guess that's what he's asking me. I don't,
He said you decide. And I know I'm not supposed to know that, but he did. He blatantly told me that you
What?
decided that you was in favor of dragging Pleasanton, the whole city of Pleasanton and around there for the district, including Prescott, into one district. And that you would vote yes on that.
I'm in favor of putting a hospital district in place, which I don't know, whatever's best.
Right now, there is one place, keep that in mind.
Right, yeah.
It hasn't been abandoned.
That's at Prescott.
But it's going to be, right?
They intend to, but they haven't done it yet, so.
So, I mean, where I'm at, yeah, I do want a hospital district. I mean, I do, yes, that's exactly what I want. But I don't know, I mean, if it's just my district, I mean, what's the evaluation on that? 20%?
I had calculated all that sometime recently. I don't have it in front of me right now, but
We go with Jim and I and we get a bigger, or we get countywide, everybody is equal, or what?
But here's the thing, why put it on these three? Why let three people decide on a public business? This is what it really is.
Well, I know.
For the health-
I
for the health-
get that.
I know.
He doesn't know what he needs to tell people. I mean, he's going to go to the door and just tell them, like, hey, we're going to hospital.
That's why we advise him to get legal counsel to help him write that up.
But I think what he's asking me is what direction are we all thinking we're going to
He wants
go?
to take a shortcut.
Here's the thing, if he does it by petition, it doesn't make a darn bit of difference.
Exactly, that's exactly right.
If he does it by petition, you've got to approve it.
Yeah.
If the petition is.
But he's got to go get rid of the hospital district, or at least let them in, or just go to the other areas and say.
He's got to decide.
But he can't go to Prescott until that one's closed out, right?
Right.
So only area he's got's my area
In his area.
and part of Pleasanton, right?
What he's got available right now is the county except for Lincoln Scott and that district down there. He's got the rest of the county available now, if that's what he wants to do. If he wants to wait until they close out down there, you know, I guess they, in theory, they could just sit like they are for the next decade. They're not taxing anybody. They can just leave it on the books and not do anything.
Okay, I did a value by commission district recently because it was part of an open records request he had. So right now, District 1 Commission District is Lincoln and Scott. So that's what's in the Lincoln Scott Township Hospital Board. The valuation there is 187 million. District 2, and this is all of District 2, including what's already in this hospital district down here, is 48.8 million, and District 3 is 49.1 million.
So they're pretty equal.
So yeah, 2 and 3 are pretty equal, but they total up to just under 100 million, and there's 187 million in District 1.
60% of the county if you get the two.
So that's how our value is split up. But I gave Jesse that because he'd asked for it on an open record request recently, that, and there was, I don't remember if it was, I think it was the registered voters in each district.
We talked
And
about
when
that
I-
in our comprehensive plan.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
when I talked to him, when he picked that stuff up, I kind of repeated some of what Gary said. You know, you need to get with your legal counsel to work on a petition and what you would need. I said, yes, I can give you the numbers of how many signatures you're going to need depending on what district it is. But I said, I can give you legal advice. I am not an attorney. You need to talk to your attorney as you were told.
And the people that sign this have to be registered voters. They can't just be people that walk in a gas station.
what percent does he have to have?
51.
51 in order to get it.
And I also told him what we always tell people when they're carrying any type of petition is you should get 25% more than that because you're going to have bad signatures on it. I mean, it always happens.
So if he was to do it right now, he's getting a petition to do what? If he was to take a petition around right now, if he went to David and said, I need signatures for this, like who would he be asking for? Like,
He'd be looking for registered voters in all the county except Lincoln, Scott, and the current hospital. I mean, if that's the area you wanted to cover. If you wanted to create a hospital district, cover everything that's not currently in.
Basically take about half of the 2 out of it and then would be already be in a district, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not half, but
It wouldn't be half.
No.
It's Pleasanton's the higher valued area in that one, and it's not in that.
And of that, because I want to make another point after this, is of that 48 or whatever million you said, we can go up the 4 mills taxing, right? Taxing authority without approval of the public. So how much would that be?
4 mills on the
On okay, on those two together? Okay, so 1 mil is going to be 48,000 on 149. They're both right at 49. Let me just do the addition here. So I've got 48,869.9 plus 49, 189.72. So each mill would be $98,059. So if you take that times 4, that's $392,000
A year.
A year.
So that's what he's asking.
And that would be all of District 2 and District 3. So it's everything except Commission District 1. However, some value that's in that is already in the.
I will say that's his shortcut, Danny. If he wants you and you to decide for him that you form these two without the public's input, approve it, go up to 4 mills because you can, and charge the taxpayers another $390,000 a year for a public use business. Profit or non-profit don't matter to me if it's coming out of my taxes. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you that.
No,
or you can let him go out and get the 51% of the vote, him do the work, And then if the public says that, then we do it, and there should be a problem. That's the route that I would go.
No, what I was trying to understand is if we're just gonna do my district, if we're gonna do just Rick's district, or we're gonna try to do an all.
I'm off. My people.
Yeah, you already have yours on place.
He's got to decide that though, Danny, what he wants to do. I mean, if he's going to go get the petition, he's got to decide.
He's got to decide what he wants to and where he's more likely to be successful.
Yeah.
I mean, think it. You think a lot of folks up around Blue Mountain and Centerville are going to want to do that? I don't know. You know,
That's what I told him.
At this point, I'm just in favor of, it has really nothing to do about opening a nurse home or like that. More or less just want to have a hospital district. I mean, we have CHC that's in Pleasanton and or in Mountain City that they're a nonprofit and the county we don't help at all with it. But you get the one in Lacine that you do. I mean, at this point, it's.
Lacine's getting ready to go to that too, right?
Yeah, but they'll get money from your hospital district, but they've been down here still.
I mean, I knew that was years and years ago.
No, that's what I'm saying. I want to be sure that we have everything set the way we need it, and we're giving people what we need. I mean, we give the mental health center, I mean, the Southeast Kansas Mental Health, we give them how many meals a year? I mean, we give the Fair Board meals. I mean, I think that I would like to see our hospital district grow, and I'd like to see a nursing home here. Is Jesse going to do it? I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying I want to get something going instead of just kicking this thing down the road all the time. I would like to see a hospital district to try to get something going.
So I'm trying to understand. So you're saying that if you had your druthers, you would have a hospital district for Pleasanton to support the Pleasanton facility there now?
I mean, if that's what we had to do, yeah.
They have nothing to do with the nursing home.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying,
no, I don't know. I mean, this is all, I'm trying to figure all this out too, just like everybody else. I don't know what's best. I don't know if this is what we need to have. I mean, do we need to have a county-wide one? Do we need to have a one district one?
You can't have a countywide one until you decide what Lincoln
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Township does.
And the CHC is doing what they're doing without tax support. Am I saying that?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Is that not government funded?
Well, they get some federal funding, I'm sure, but I mean, they're not getting any Linn County tax.
Right, but it's,
So when they go to Lacine, they won't be getting any?
Well, what's gonna happen there, it's my understanding, I haven't talked to anybody, is that district will continue to exist, but they will contract with CHC to run the clinic. That's not the same, it's Pleasant Place CHC owns.
Yeah.
That's their clinic.
And they don't own the Mountain City one.
Mountain City, they just contract with the private group that owns that building to run that clinic. And that's what I understand they're gonna do it there. I don't know that for a fact, but that's my understanding. So, they're not getting any, I mean, yes, the board up there is getting some tax support and they're contracting with CHC, but if it's like this one here, they're not paying them anything to operate that. They just have an agreement, they can then operate. Down here, there's no real payment.
So would it be I guess where I'm at is, would it be beneficial to have a hospital district where we don't have one as more of a savings account for a company that wants to come in to get something going here?
I have a hard time seeing how that's in the intent of the law. I think that's really, I mean, the way I understand the purpose of the law is that you've got a specific facility or a specific group of facilities you want to support, so then you give the people the opportunity to support it with their taxes.
if Lincoln and Scott get out of the doctor's office, and like you say, they're hiring somebody to run it, do they change their mill levy in here? Or does it
Well,
continue?
it's not really, right now, they've been hiring the Latham Medical Center.
So it's
they're
nothing.
just going to a different provider, that's all they're really doing. They're not changing anything about how they're set up as a district. They're not changing anything about their tax levy.
Just send changing operator.
They're just changing operators.
So how do we know so that hospital board, the taxes that we collect go to them? And do they have an agreement of how much money they're giving the hospital that's in their clinic or whatever in their
I'm
district?
sure they have, he talks about the Lincoln Scott
Yeah,
technical.
just in general, is that how that works?
What's their mill rate?
Lincoln Scott, current mill levy being collected this year is 0.856 mils, which generates $157,000 this year.
And they basically use that to maintain their building.
I have their budget proposal for next year, and it's already been published. They are dropping to 0.582 mil,
There you go.
or they'll only be collecting 108,000 or 109,000 next year.
So they just change it yearly, just like in.
Yeah, they are their own taxing entity. We collect it for them. We give them the money. That's the
So you
extent of
can't,
what
so
we
you
have.
can't use say a hospital district or whatever, you can't utilize that as a incentive to get business here, like, hey, we have this much money in this account, we can, this is what we can offer you to come here. I guess that's where I'm trying
I'm
to.
not saying that, I'm not absolutely saying you couldn't. I've never really thought of it that way. I'm saying that I don't think that's in the spirit of how the law was intended to be used.
Right.
But everybody knows people twist laws all the time to do what they want to do.
But they have paid off their debt they went into to start that one, so they are debt free at the moment. As to what their,
Enough to maintain.
yeah, as to what their plans are for the future, that's really nothing any of us has control over
What
or
was
any
the
say.
highest mill levy that they had?
I'll have to look, I'd have to look back into
Started
other
out,
files.
2 mil.
I think they went up to 2 and they were probably there for a while, but they've been coming down, and then this year they took a pretty good drop because they
Mill levy,
didn't
that'd
need
be
it.
pretty big, I'd say. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember when that one was created. Do you, Gary?
No,
Oh,
390,000.
gosh, it's probably been 12, 14 years ago now.
I can look at levy sheets and
didn't they own their ambulance at one time up there?
that wasn't under this hot.
That was just one of the townships had the ambulance
Okay.
service, but the county took that over a long time.
Yeah, right.
This is a different deal. Because this really, they call it Lincoln Scott Township. This is not a township function. This is a separate entity.
Yeah.
Board.
Well, here, I just picked up back in 2010, I grabbed an old levy sheet. At that time, they were levying 2 mills.
Yeah.
And that was the most they ever did. And I think the way they were created, did they have a limit of 2 or was
The
that just?
statute gives them a limit.
Yeah.
There's a way to go beyond that, but it falls.
And see, and that was what the one in the Prescott area, Hospital District 1, at that point was up to 4 mills, but they'd gone through the steps to levy more than
I'd
2.
say they did pretty good, dropping all the way to where they.
But yeah, they've gone from 10, 11 years ago down to basically half a mil now.
And that was their plan all along. They wanted the mill levy to get them started, to get the building in place, and then just let it be just enough to maintain.
And I talked to one of the board members up there and I guess Olathe, from my understanding, I didn't attend that board meeting, that they were willing to donate all their equipment that was currently there to that company that's gonna take it over. So they started out with what they got, which I suppose it was pretty good stuff
Oh, I'm sure.
that they used, up there to do that.
Yeah, I guess that's where I'm trying to get, like, do we make a hospital district and utilize it as like a savings to entice a big time company to come in here and start a nursing home or start a hospital or whatever?
Well, either way, the philosophical question you're dealing with is, do you intend to use tax money to support a nursing home? I mean, that's the philosophical question. And, I'm not taking a position on that. I'm just saying that that's really the issue, whether you save the money up ahead of time and convince somebody to come in, or whether you start from scratch with them and build it as you
What
go.
all does a hospital district, what all can they pay for, like ambulance, a clinic, hospital, nursing home, or
Any kind of medical facility.
So 2014 is the first year that they started dropping below 2 mills. They went down to 1.9 that year. 15, they were at 1.8, so they just slowly started working down. And then in the last 2 or 3 years, they've dropped a bunch, but that's after they paid their loan off.
so now that they're a hospital district still in place down there, can they ask for money?
In theory, they could, but, I mean, yeah, they could have brought a budget today to this summer, setting the mill levy for next year. The actual budget they brought says 0.
They didn't want it. They didn't want to do that because the amount they generated, you're talking about Prescott's,
Yeah.
is so low, it wouldn't help Jesse at all on this. It was like 60,000.
Yeah, it's not much.
So what I heard from you know, while I was asking about the savings bill and all that, now that, Mercy shut down in Fort Scott or whatever, CHC took that over, there's a emergency room there. Well, an individual told me that they were thinking about trying to build some kind of emergency room in between like Prescott and Fort Scott, like right over on Bourbon County line somewhere off the highway. And that's just hearsay. I don't know if that's true, but that's why I was asking about.
Now, does Prescott Hospital, is that board got some in Bourbon
It's got a
County?
little, piece in Bourbon County.
How did that work? Is that just, I mean, why is that? Why is it going to a different county?
Well,
It's the way they formed that district
yeah.
years
They
ago.
formed it back,
Which was the people of the district did that.
yeah.
And that's, we've got, like, school districts do that. We have taxing entities that are in more than one county, and then we have to work with the other counties at tax time to
Fontana had a
send information back and forth.
So has Bourbon County ever came to us and they're upset about us having part of that? No.
No, I mean, I don't think we've ever had much interaction with them about that one.
I mean, I interact with the clerk down there just for tax reasons every year, but I mean, it really, all they were doing was collecting a little bit, and the part they had of that one was very small. They were collecting a little bit of tax and sending it to them, the same thing we do.
So I think the opinion would be giving direct direction, Jesse, we will not form, let me speak it, a direct taxing district and approve it by the commissioners. You need to carry your petitions, or you can do it the other way around. So what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the petition's kind of what we decided here when he was here, right? That's what needs to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the only way. I mean, it's clear that at least 2/3 of this board is not gonna do it any other way. So,
I'm just trying to figure out how to do it and what, you know, that's why I'm asking.
Well, I don't wanna levy a tax on taxpayers without them having their, say. That's the way I feel.
Yeah.
I've said that all along. I mean, if he can get his 51%,
but the thing is, he's got to do that petition right. You can't just go out and start having people sign a piece of paper. That's why you need to get legal advice.
And that's why we told him that we wouldn't give him the 10,000 or whatever he
And
needed.
when you carry a petition, can multiple people carry it? Is it kind of like whenever,
You can have different people carrying, but they each have to have their own petition, and they have to qualify. I mean, it's
a big deal?
and it's gotta be precise, the way it's worded and everything. I mean, there are just several things to check on. It's not just a matter of taking a sheet of paper and saying, here, sign this.
Right.
And you gotta make sure that the people signing are registered voters, that they sign correctly.
and are in the district that you want.
There's a lot to it, and then once that's carried and comes in, then we go through and verify every signature that's on there, checking for all those reasons that they're registered, they're in the right district, it looks like their signature. You know, there's a lot we go through on it.
You don't go back again if you don't have your 51%.
No, and if you don't
start
make
over
it,
again.
you start over because you can't add to it.
Oh, you can't add to it?
Once you submit it, that's it.
Yeah, you're done. And there's typically a time limit on petitions from the date you start carrying till you have to have it turned in. And I can't quote you those times without looking at the
Well,
laws.
people just go door to door and just knock and tell them what you're doing?
That's what they did up there. I think they went door to door, they each had lists. I think each of the people that was carrying a petition had lists or areas they were covering. And they went to those people and kept going back.
Was it a pretty good turnout? I mean, was it pretty good?
Well,
They had enough to get it done.
That's a lot, yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people.
There's a lot of signatures.
They were pretty proud of everything, hard work they did. They seemed to be.
I can't imagine that I've had a petition I had to check since I've been here that was bigger than that one.
no,
I don't know what it would have been.
That's the only one of this type. Most petitions are a percentage of people that voted in the last election, which is much smaller.
Yeah.
There are some petitions that require the 51% of the registered voters, and I think that's the only one we've had in all the time I've been here.
You know, we do a lot of candidate petitions every couple of years when it's time for a bunch of us here to run. But like, well, say mine as an example, running as a Republican and countywide, I think I had to have like 114 signatures last year on mine. So, I would try to get 130 or 40 to make sure I had enough if I didn't know they were all good. But that's more typical for the petitions we have to look at, where in this case, you'd be talking about 2,000 to 3,000 signatures that he would need in that
And
area.
you have to check all those?
Yeah, we go through line by line and check everything on there.
And with the time frame, it can't just be him, I wouldn't think, in order to get it all
No,
done.
he couldn't do it alone. What happened with the Lincoln Scott, you remember David printed them off lists of registered voters in the Lincoln Scott townships, and they went by that list, make sure that everybody knew.
And I've already told Jesse if he was gonna carry it, once he gets it all sorted out and what he's doing, we can provide lists. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we charge so much per page for lists just for our open records fees, but we can do it.
So it's not just a matter of going door to door and saying, is there anybody here who's a voter? You got a list you're working from.
Right.
But he can do that. I mean, that's the right way. That's probably the right process to go through to do that, if he really wants to do that.
Well, and that's the way you're truly gonna get the opinion of the people in that district, because you gotta have over half of them that say yes, they
I just don't feel it's our job to just, hey, you got a public business out there for profit or nonprofit, doesn't matter, they're all profitable in their own way. And the taxpayers are gonna, pay for it. And us three decide on that, I'll let him figure it out. Agreed? All right. Anything else?
Not for me.
Barb, you want to say anything?
I've said too much.
I'm good.
And is there a meeting tonight? Do you know? Republican meeting? Is there a meeting tonight? Your boss is the president of it. Yeah. You don't know? Okay. Okay. You'll be at the school board? Which one? Jayhawk? Okay. All right. If nobody's got anything else, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Where you get away.